Tyler Baron has transferred to Miami after transferring out of Tennessee this past offseason. He first, after transferring from Tennessee, committed to Ole Miss. Backed out of Ole Miss, went to Louisville, where Wesley Walker also went. They have both since transferred out of Louisville because Louisville apparently was unable to cash some NIL checks. And he has now transferred to Miami. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Go right ahead. I think our message board is absolutely the best. Travis says they probably got him for next to nothing. I agree with that because he had issues elsewhere. He had no leverage. Derek says his mind's on the NFL and money. He's done. I tend to agree with that. If you're more concerned about NIL money, you're not going to make it to the pros, no matter what sport you play. Smoky Mountain Red says Tyler has killed future relationships in Knoxville for his future. He's right. I know he thinks he's going to be a 10-time all-pro NFL player, but he might just be a pharmaceutical salesman. Okay, well, those opportunities are there as long as you don't burn people. Well, now you burned everybody in Knoxville, so they're not going to offer you that 6-digit job out of the chute. Those are the things that college athletes don't take into account. Being a part of the University of Tennessee means something. Being a part of the football program means something, and it helps you get a head start on your career. He doesn't get that.
Also, beyond all of that, and here's what people don't understand with the NFL, because a lot of people say, oh, the NFL just looks at talent and that's it. No. If you're generational, like we talked about, if you're James Pierce, if you're John Henderson, or if you're Leonard Little, they just look at talent. Because they'll get in line to try to draft those players, Dave. But you know this. If you're a 4th to 7th round type of pick, all of a sudden the recommendations from college football coaches matter, doesn't it? All of a sudden what the college football coaches tell the scouts matter. Okay? If there's questions and there's concerns, and they're going to go to Josh Heupel and say, why did Tyler Baron transfer out? And he tells the full story, it's not going to look good. Now, here's the point. This is a desperate move for Miami. Miami may have opened up a little bit of an NIL budget for Tyler Baron because they're desperate. They have a top 5 NIL collective, I believe, but they have a very problematic program down there. And I'm not talking about the old school Nevin Shapiro stories and everything Miami was doing in the 80s and the 90s. I mean, they have a coach who, by all accounts, made what we all agree may be the stupidest decision in the history of college football last year. Like, maybe the history of football. It's like Pete Carroll throwing the ball on the 1-yard line in the Super Bowl and Mario Cristobal running a play. I don't know which one is dumber. Probably Mario Cristobal running a play. But, like, a coach that Miami fans probably want fired overnight. They have to be good this year. And they're taking whoever they can get to be good. So they got desperate for Tyler Baron. Tyler Baron himself is desperate. Because I will say this with the transfer portal and the Wild West, guys, you think scouts talk to coaches about character and attributes of players? That's true. You don't think schools talk to schools about it? You don't think other schools are looking and saying, why did Tyler Baron transfer? There's kind of an issue here. There's something wrong. And Tyler Baron, I don't think found the place he wanted to find. I think he first chased NIL checks, wasn't getting them. And you're right. He got desperate and went to Miami. And lucky for him, Miami's desperate too.
They are desperate, and you have Wesley Walker, and yes, question by Mr. Osborne. There are the two loosely related. I think they're stepbrothers. So he goes to Michigan. I mean, he's found a good place to land, I suppose, in terms of the facilities, but they've got a first-year coach now who you and I disagree. I think that thing's going to fall apart and be a disaster. You think it's going to go like Philip Fulmer when he was hired, and that's cool. It may, but you go to a place with a first-year coach that you would have to admit, Caleb, even though we have a different mindset of where that Michigan program will be, they're more desperate for people. So Michigan taking Wesley Walker is a sign to me that they're taking people they normally wouldn't. Why? Because they absolutely know that they don't have the same pull with Jim Harbaugh. They just don't.
I think Wesley Walker, though, it's totally different in the sense of Michigan likes veteran leaders of a certain level of discipline and high character guys. I know y'all think I'm attaching some sort of like morals onto Michigan where they just had the sign stealing scandal, but the way they've always run their program has been with discipline, kind of character, sacrifice for the team type of guys. And Wesley Walker, whatever you think about him, the reason he transferred out of Tennessee was he just wasn't good enough. Okay, it wasn't a Tyler Baron diva moment chasing money. And I think that he took advantage of that when he did go to Louisville, and Louisville promised him something they couldn't give him. But I think Wesley Walker is a guy, he's the anti-Tyler Baron, where he doesn't have the raw talent to be great, but he's kind of the guy you want in your locker room, I think. And Michigan likes locker room guys. And don't forget this. I know he didn't coach Wesley Walker directly because Wesley Walker played in the secondary, but Tennessee's linebackers coach Brian Jean-Marie just went to Michigan. So he may know some things about Wesley Walker too that he likes. And I think that's a really big part of this. I think Wesley Walker is more of a locker room guy. Tyler Baron is more of a I need talent type of guy.
Agree, but I like Wesley a little bit more than you. I will say that.
Let's
put it this way. Would you take either back?
I would take Wesley back because of the locker room guy, but if you liked Wesley more than me, the coaches would have probably shelled out some NIL money to keep him, and they didn't.